All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 356 of the Restoring Rapport podcast. This is a podcast for young believers who are pursuing the goal of marriage and family and trying to get married as young as possible in a healthy way. I'm your host, Seth. I come on twice a week, every week on Thursday and Sunday to discuss not only the benefits of getting married young, but I try to equip and encourage you in your pursuit of that goal. And today we're going to be reviewing a video entitled The Number One Conversation Killer. This was published by the Dr. John Delony show. It is an interview with Jefferson Fisher. And I don't actually know much about Jefferson Fisher, but I think he's some kind of communications expert. Let's really quickly Google that before we start. Jefferson Fisher. And then, he is an author and a speaker, it looks like lawyer. And he has a practical approach to effective communication strategies, and he's amassed some millions of, I would imagine, followers there somewhere on some kind of platform. And the next conversation is his book title. That's a little bit about him. He's an American lawyer, podcast host, and author. He's the host of the Jefferson Fisher podcast. His first book, The Next Conversation, Argue Less, Talk More, released in March 2025. And is a New York Times bestseller. So a very big author. We're going to be reviewing the book that he wrote today, or not reviewing the book, but reviewing this conversation about the book between Dr. John Delony and Jefferson Fisher. So without further ado, let's get right into it, because this is going to be something that you guys probably need to be pretty good at as young believers who are getting married. You're going to have to be able to communicate with your spouse well. And people always cite communication and conversation problems as one of the big reasons that divorce happens. I actually don't think that's true. I think that it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at communicating. If you're not on each other's team, the marriage is never going to work. And if you are on each other's team, even if you have poor communication skills, you can work through it. But I'm curious to see what these guys say. So let's hop right into it.
There's the framework. The framework is that when you speak, when you need to say what you need to say, you're going to say it with control, you're going to say it with confidence, you're going to say it to connect. And those three really are your foundation for almost any conversation. Where you can start making your own Jefferson Fisher communication videos. And the whole premise is that you can change everything in your life by changing the next conversation. I know that it doesn't matter what I said in the last one. I can change everything with simply what I say next.
Yeah. So control, connect, and confidence.
Yeah.
You launch into this thing, and I don't want to give away too much. You launch into this book with when I turned the page, I started laughing. And I was like, well, there's 95% of my life.
Yeah.
And it is, don't try to win the argument. Don't try to win connection.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So the whole
that's my whole life.
That's funny.
With my dog, I'm trying to win. With my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Help me, brother. Help me, dude.
Yeah. The whole premise of the book is to never win an argument. We have so many blogs and there's other books out there of how to win every argument.
That's so interesting, because I think if I remember reading that correctly, this guy is a lawyer. So that's very funny that he's writing a book on basically how to not make winning an argument your goal. But that makes sense again winning an argument makes sense in the context of a courtroom, but I think he's totally right. I don't think it makes much sense in the context of a relationship, because you shouldn't be on the opposite sides. There's not a plaintiff and a defendant. You're two people trying to understand one another and work through a problem as a team, and you're trying to basically overcome the obstacles together, not just fight to see who is right and get something. So court and relationships are totally different. In court, again, you're on opposite teams, which is what's so amazing about divorce, because two people can somehow go from supposedly being on, one another's team through anything, no matter what, into this situation where they're now fighting against each other on opposing teams for what they want. And that blows me away. That blows me away. And so guys, on the show, we just talk so much about making a good decision early. Getting married young is great, but you can do it right or wrong. So please just be very sure about the person you're marrying. And again, I would encourage you, get married as young as you possibly can, because you're going to be able to spend more of your lifetime with your partner, but you still got to make good decisions in how you get married. You can't just get married young and not have worked on these things, because you need to have those things done. So just start early as you can, start working on being ready for marriage. And then, once you find that person, man, absolutely do not wait. Just go for it. Work through the problems that come your way. But you remember, just do so as a team, be on the same team. Always remember you're always on your partner's team and you're not ever against your partner. Just keep that in mind, because I think that's where so many of these, divorces and marriage problems start. Right.
I just think it's snake oil. It's empty. It's not going to get you anywhere, because when you win, you lose a lot more. You lose their respect. You lose the relationship. Mm-hmm. What did you win? I mean, okay, you and I are in an argument. I send that zinger that's going to hurt and burn in your eyes, and you walk off, and I won. Great. Now what?
It's like the golf clap.
Exactly.
Like, congrats, bro.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah,
and what did you win? Congrats. You won their contempt. You won the awkward silence now as you pass each other down the hall. You still have to probably work with this person. You probably still have to live
You're married
with
to
this
them.
person. Exactly.
Right,
and
right.
all you've won now is to be first up to apologize.
Yeah,
That's what you've won. Congrats. Congrats. Yeah. Just enjoy that trophy. And so the whole premise is to never win an argument, because you'll start to lose the relationship. And
yeah, true. That's absolutely true. And I think kind of the root issue under here, what he's talking about here, is like, you've got to be on your partner's team. You've got to have their best interest at heart. You've got to be looking out for them. You've got to be in their corner, whatever kind of language you want to use. You've got to be fighting for them and fighting to prioritize, protect, and maintain the connection that you have with them. If you're not, then man, it's like, how are you getting anything good in your relationship? How is it going to go the distance? How are you even enjoying any fruits of positive decisions in your marriage if you're not on your partner's team? You've got to be on your partner's team, man. Like, if Lainey and I were on opposite teams, I'm really struggling to come up with anything good that would come from our marriage. I'm really, really struggling. We would not be happy. I would be failing my duty. I would say my scriptural God-given duty as a man to lay down my life for my partner as Christ laid his life down for the church. Our children would be unhappy. Our future children, we don't have children yet, but they would be unhappy. Our home would be a place of discord and not harmony and peace and fellowship. And, intimacy would be lacking. There would be no emotional vulnerability or connection on any level. And so like all those things, he's totally right. You're losing when you put your partner on another team and say, I'm going to fight with you over this goal. I'm going to, protect this more than I'm going to protect our connection. I'm going to make this my priority instead of staying healthy with you, instead of crafting a healthy relationship with you. I'm going to, basically get my priorities way out of alignment. That's what happens when you get there. You lose everything important. You lose, everything good. And so just be willing to fight for it. Be willing to keep it first. Be willing to keep it priority. Don't let lesser things get in the way. As Song of Songs would say, don't let the little foxes disrupt the vineyard, right? Don't let the little foxes eat the grapes. Don't let the little problems become a bigger deal than they are, and always stay on your spouse's team no matter what. I think that's a super lesson here. Really cool. Like
what you need to do, and stop seeing arguments as something to win and as knots to unravel. When you can start, instead of pulling your way or my way, and starting to go, help me see the knot, begin to unravel them, meaning having something to learn rather than something to prove, your life is going to be a whole lot better.
And also, just if your goal in an argument is to stay connected to your partner, it's really hard for it to be an argument. I've noticed that too. Like, if there's a problem that Lainey and I come across, and I can sense that her goal is to stay on good terms with me and stay in good connection and relationship with me, even though we've got to work through the problem, that makes it infinitely and indefinitely easier to solve that problem and problems in the future, because I know, hey, she's not against me. She's not out for some, personal vendetta. She's not out for some personal desire or ambition or anything of her own, wants. She's out to protect connection with me. And that makes me feel super secure and that makes me know that we're on the same team and I don't perceive her as the enemy. And I think that's just super important. So just always think, in the back of your mind, whenever you're dealing with something hard with your partner, those of you who are about to get married, because you're going to have hard things that you come across, and you've got to be able to stay on the same team during that. And if you can't, again, did you really ever take off anyway? If you were never on each other's team, you've got to be on each other's team. I keep saying that, but that's so important.
That feels like it takes an astonishing amount of inner confidence, to be able to exit a conversation,
right,
when the person wasn't right, when the person. I remember the first time I I call them mini depositions. It was student conduct matters, but their room is surrounded by attorneys, right?
Right.
And so I'm not technically getting deposed, but you're getting deposed.
You are.
And I remember it was a mutual colleague of ours, Rob, being like, "Hey, stop talking.
Yeah.
Stop." And it was like, I have to, and it was like, almost like be confident.
Right.
Like, just say what you need to say, be quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I realized my need to keep talking was because I wasn't super certain about what I was saying.
Right.
Dude, that is so true. Is anybody else like that? Let me know in the YouTube comments if you do that. The more I talk, it's almost like I keep talking because I'm not confident in what I've already said, and I'm trying to throw in a bunch of clarifiers to protect what I just said from assault that other people will give it if they take issue with what I said. Does anybody else do that? Like, you just kind of start rambling, and then the only way you'll stop rambling is if you get some sort of affirmation on the side of the other person. It's like, okay, that person's not an enemy. They agree with what I'm saying. That is a big struggle for me. And like, I've got to work on just saying what I need to say and putting a period. And just and even if there's just silence or, a level of discomfort there, just quitting. And I think that there is, what's the word? Like, diplomacy is a skill in a conversation, trying to get everybody on all sides of all parties happy around a delicate issue. And I think that's great and all, but sometimes I think there's just times in life where you got to be able to say you got to speak your piece, and then you've got to put a period, and you've just got to. It doesn't matter really how it's received, as long as you spoke it in the correct way and you kept connection with that person as the priority, and you didn't perceive them as the enemy when you were saying it, and you made that clear. I mean, sometimes you just got to leave the period there, even if there's an awkward silence, or even if there's not a verbal affirmation of what you just said, or some kind of auditory affirmation, like somebody going, "Oh yeah, I agree with that," or something like that. Sometimes you just got to end the conversation or say what you need to say and put a period. And that is, like he said, that's confidence. That's, what's the word? It maybe balancing out a little bit of the people pleaser stuff. Like, I know a lot of you young people, maybe you're not a people pleaser like me, but I really do. There's good things and bad things about being a people pleaser. One of the good things, like I said, is the diplomacy element. You're really good at talking to people and trying to point out the positive in a conversation and get everybody in the situation happy. But one of the bad things about it is you kind of just ramble, like he says, and you don't really have a clear point because you're not willing to, draw that firm line and displease one party or the other. And sometimes you just got to be able to draw that firm line and say, this is what I need to say, and I'm not talking anymore.
But when I think about that with my spouse, when I think about that with my kids, when I think about that with my kid's teacher, where do we get that inner confidence?
Yeah.
Because I think you have to have that to be able to say, I don't have to win this thing.
Yeah. That's what, and it's a logical question because, and it's a natural, everybody's got this that's why rule two is say it with confidence.
Yeah.
Because what happens is the more words you give, the less you say. Like,
yes.
The longer it takes you to tell the truth, the more it sounds like a lie.
Yes.
If you really know a topic, you don't have to explain a whole lot. So
true. In fact, I've actually heard it. I've heard somebody, I can't remember who I heard say this. I wish I could remember the name of this book, but it might have been Start by John Acuff, perhaps. I think it was Start by John Acuff, and he was talking about business people who are, doing a pitch or a proposal to an investor about a, product or service that they were wanting to offer, and they're trying to get funding for their business, and they go in there and they do that pitch. And he said one of the things that investors look for is like, if you can present your idea in like a sentence or 10 seconds or less, you really understand what you're talking about. If you are rambling and going on and on and on and on and on, throwing in a lot of irrelevant details and half-baked ideas, investors are not going to want to give you money because you're demonstrating that you don't really understand what you're saying and you haven't really thought it through. And so conciseness, brevity is the soul of wit, I think is the famous Shakespeare quote. You just need to say it quick. Not quick, but you need to be short-winded. You need to be able to say what you need to say in just a few sentences and get your point across, because that's effective communication. It makes it makes it easier for people to understand you and all that. That's really good. I like
confidence
that you just said that.
Is very quiet. Insecurities are very loud. Like, you've ever been at a meeting and it's the person who typically has the most to say, has to have the, you know what, I'd like to give my take, and they always have to give something in it, who knows the least about it.
Yes.
The least in touch with what's going on in that company or that culture. Whereas the leader typically very quiet.
Yeah.
They know they don't have to say anything. Confident people know that they don't have to say anything if they don't want to. Insecure people have to say everything. They need to name drop. They need to make you know how smart I am, how many people I know, how many people have been on my show.
Right.
It's the names that they'll just like to drop just so that you know. It's really that insecurity that's talking at the baseline.
I remember this is right when I was starting this new weird world that we're in.
It is weird.
And I saw an interview with Jocko.
Oh, nice.
And the interviewer was like, all right, so somebody steps to you and your wife on the streets in San Diego. Like, what do you do? And I remember him just quietly, well, I'd probably just grab her hand and walk across the street and get on that sidewalk. And I remember, I'm paraphrasing it, but he said, like, but what about, like, you got to defend her honor. And he said with a smile, if it takes me beating up a vagrant on the side of the street, like to show my wife I honor her, I have failed her in every way.
Oh, that's so
But
good.
it was like that. I remember going, oh, that's tough. That's tough.
That's confident.
And then he went on to say, there's a handful of men on earth that can defeat me in hand. Right? Like, he's like, I can, but the flex is.
Right.
And I guess.
But so he knew he had that power, though.
And that gives you the power to walk away.
Yeah.
Are there situations where I'm trying to think of something outside of safety when I've got to dig my heels in? Is that ever a worthy move?
When you need to stand your ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but the whole thing of standing your ground, standing up for yourself, is asking the question, is this person worth getting out of your chair for?
So it's just limiting the number of hills you're going to die on.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I grew with my dad going, don't make that your Alamo. Is that going to be your Alamo?
Yeah.
Like, is this really?
Yeah.
Is this really? I mean, that would be his thing. I come to him.
I've learned something as a public school teacher that actually applies to your future marriage probably as well. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't seen your future marriage. But if you take every battle as a public school teacher with the kids in your room that you are going to be exhausted. And my first year teaching, I made that mistake. I thought that my job was to make sure like the boundaries were enforced in the classroom, which it is my job to make sure the boundaries are enforced in the classroom and the behavior is managed and people are on task and the classroom is fun and engaging and a positive place to be. All that is my job. But if a child, pushes the envelope on something and you take the battle every single time, like every single time that they push the envelope, it's going to be a brutal boot camp. And probably a little bit harder than it needs to be. I like how he said, is this problem really worth becoming an Alamo? Like, are we going to bunker up here on this issue that we think we're right on and just die on this hill and just, massacre anybody that comes through the door here and be against anybody who tries to take this from us or disrupt this thing or whatever it is? Are we going to do that? Or are we going to make peace the goal? I want to read you guys something. In the Beatitudes chapter, I like to use Bible Hub for those of you guys. I usually tell you this on the show, but if you need a Bible, online Bible Hub is really good. And I want to just look up the Beatitudes here, and I think it's in Matthew 5, I believe, but it's a really good, passage that discusses basically peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will inherit the earth. In fact, I'm just going to type that in here. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. And it's Matthew 5:9. I'm going to read from the NASB. It's usually what I do on the show because it's very literal. But let's just read through these here, because what Jesus is emphasizing here is not enforcing the boundary, holding the line, getting the truth across to this person no matter what. He's actually emphasizing something very different, and that's peace, keeping peace a goal. The Bible also says that righteousness, peace, and joy, that's what the kingdom is made of, I believe is the words of Paul. He says righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. And peace is just talked about over and over and over in the Bible. And this is one example where Jesus does that. He says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the gentle, for they will inherit the earth. Again, just being gentle in how you Like, I know there are problems, guys. I'm married. I have problems in my marriage that I have to tackle, but just handling, like, if you keep your tone calm and you keep yourself gentle and you are making sure that you're communicating with your partner that you're on the same team as them and your qualm is with this problem and not with her, then you're going to do your confrontation, your conflict is going to be much more successful, in my opinion. He says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. And then right here, verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Peacemaking is a skill. It's something that Jesus says you are, it's awesome if you do. It's something that you are blessed for. It's something that you are blessed when you choose to act in that way. And so, just make peace when possible. Don't make it an Alamo. Don't die on the hill. Don't, give up the goal of connection and healthy connection with your partner just because you want to protect this issue or this thing or your time or your perspective on this point or whatever it is. Whatever it is not worth peace flying out the window, basically, is what he's saying there, I think.
And with the problem, he'd go, okay, so, and I go, but you don't understand.
Yeah.
This is happening. This is happening. Go, so.
Yeah.
I mean, and eventually water me down to where you're at. I don't know why I'm making a big deal about it. Yeah. And so it's a mindset of the confidence of knowing I don't have to act. I don't have to move. It's typically the most powerful people say very little. It's the little dog that yips the most.
It just runs and runs and runs.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Here's something else I took away from this book that was pretty heavy.
Thanks for reading it, by the way.
No, man, it's
Thanks,
outstanding.
Dude.
It's frustratingly good because I can't write that good. I want to talk about, it's kind of
All right, Gabby from Vegas, let's go.
While he's running an ad here, I just want you guys to kind of envision what would happen if you didn't do that, what I just described and what they just described. What would happen if you threw peace out the window, you died on the hill, you won the argument, you won the fight, whatever it was. Again, you're really saying, and like he emphasized at the beginning of the video, you're really saying this goal, whatever this goal was that I was defending, is more important to you than a healthy connection with you. That's really what you're telling your partner. If you're going to yell at them over an argument that you had, or if you're going to yell at them over where you went out to eat, or if you're going to yell at them, all these just nonsense, trivial things, even if it's something big, like if you're going to yell at them for mismanaged money or something that was said to your child or all this stuff, and just, if you're going to yell at them over this stuff, if you're going to throw peace out the window and make this place your Alamo and your partner the enemy, then you can expect your marriage to struggle, because it's a bold-faced admission that whatever this issue was matters more to me than a healthy connection with you. I'm willing to sacrifice our connection for the sake of this thing, whatever it is. And if that is perceived, if I'm in my marriage, if I perceive Lainey as valuing some weird thing as more important than her connection with me, it's going to be very, very hard for our marriage to work like that. And thankfully, she never, ever does this. She's very, very good at like staying on my team no matter what, and protecting our healthy connection. No matter what. Because look, here's the beauty of it. When the healthy connection is your goal, you don't even have to worry about healthy communication, because there's like a filter in your head. As long as you think of everything you do as secondary to your connection with your wife, it's going to be great for your marriage, because it's just going to filter everything you say. Before you say it, your brain is automatically going to go, okay, is this going to damage my connection with my wife? And again, we all make mistakes. Like, I've made tons of mistakes here, and I'll say things that hurt my connection with my wife, sometimes without even meaning to. But I would hurt my relationship with her a lot more if I didn't have that filter. So as long as you have that filter in there of like, I have to keep my connection with my wife healthy no matter what, then everything you say and everything you do is going to get filtered through there to make sure that you're not damaging your connection with your wife. And I think that's a great thing to have. If you want what's a peaceful marriage, a marriage of two peacemakers, who Jesus said will be called sons of God. If you want that kind of marriage, then you've got to have that filter. This connection, the peace has got to stay here. No matter what we talk about here, no matter how we talk about it, the peace has got to stay here. So whatever I need to say and do to keep that peace here is my priority. That is a beautiful thing, man. And I've seen households and marriages where there's just strife. There's just constant fighting. And there's this huge amount of disrespect and this high, like, it's like, not anger, but like, there's just not peace. And what's happening there, I think, is people are dying on hills. They're making, some kind of Alamo their ultimate goal instead of a healthy connection with their partner. And you just don't, guys, be very careful of that growing up and get married, because it hurts your ability to connect with your partner. And if you're after a healthy marriage, you're gonna have to be able to protect your connection with your partner. And if you don't want a healthy marriage, I don't know why you're even listening.
I'm going to bridge the gap between that question and the next one.
Okay.
How do we try not to win everything in a world that's always competing with us? Because I think the temptation is just, I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Yeah.
How do I stay present at a table? And you do this for a living. How do you stay present at a table, unhooked from every other emotionally reactive person?
You have to add a lot of silence. So when you can add distance between what somebody has said and how you respond, every time it gives you a lot more control, and especially the perception of control. So let's say you and I are having it out, and all of a sudden you just throw the worst insult ever. And I don't say anything back.
It's the worst, man. It's the worst.
I mean, like,
it's like hitting somebody and they just look at you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Will Smith and Chris Rock. He hits him and he just looked at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's bad.
It
looks bad.
Right? It still looks bad.
It does, but it will reverberate.
Forever.
Right.
Yeah. And so when somebody walks himself out on a plank and you just let them hang there, I mean, that's where you really have your sense of your power move.
Wow. Sheesh. And I don't even want you to think about it. That was really profound what he just said there, but I don't want you to think about it as like a power move or like being better than the other person, or even like this arrogant sort of, I'm better than you, I'm the bigger man kind of thing. Don't even think about it like that. You're thinking about it like how Jesus described peacemaking. Peacemakers will be called sons of God. And if somebody literally throws a punch, lobs a, what you call it, they're trying to hurt you, and you just take that with silence, and you don't get all bent out of shape, and you don't return the favor and lob something back, either conversationally or however, then peace stays in the room. Insofar as it's possible for peace to stay in that room, peace is in the room. The Bible says to make every effort to live at peace with all men and to be holy. For without holiness, no one can please God. So it's your job to be a peacemaker. It's your job to make every effort, every fiber of your body, every fiber of your being is supposed to try to protect the peace in the situation no matter what. So if somebody is just blowing off disrespect to you and just slinging accusation and just lobbing insult, however they're doing it, however they're throwing peace out the window, if you sit there and you take it and you let it just hit against your fortress wall and fall to the ground and you don't retaliate, you're making every effort to live at peace with all men there. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about in Matthew 5 in the Beatitudes. And I know this is hard. I know it's something that it's not natural to do that. It's not natural to, what's the word? It's not natural to, it's not, like, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Peace is in there. It's not something that just happens easy. That's a fruit of the Spirit in you as believers. And so, keep that in your marriage, man. Keep that in your marriage. Keep the peace. Keep the peace. That is so much more valuable than whatever prize you're fighting for by, lobbing insults back or, returning fire, retaliating, whatever you want to call it. The prize of peace is so much better than whatever you're going to win by doing that, by retaliation. And so thank you guys for listening today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to watch the rest of this video, it's about twice as long as what I watched. but you can look it up on YouTube, or I will include the link to this video in the show notes if you want to go watch the video yourself. Leave Dr. John a comment and leave me one as well. What do you think was the best thing that Jefferson Fisher said in this video? And do you find it easy to keep peace the priority instead of retaliation and victory against the opposition, your goal in a conversation? Because I don't think very many people find that easy. And if you do, congratulations. I think that's a fruit of the Spirit in your life. And I admire that. And I'm just trying to get, everybody as possible. I'm trying to help you have an easier marriage in the future, a more peaceful marriage in the future. And so I think that's a goal we're striving for. So let me know what your thoughts on this episodes were. Answer those questions for me in the YouTube comments and through Instagram and Facebook. You can send me a personalized audio voice message or a text message. Would love to hear those. It would make me feel super connected to you guys as an audience listener, and it would make this podcasting system two-way. Again, just message the podcast, Instagram, and I would love to hear those. Thank you guys so much for listening today, and I will talk to you all next time.